What's up guys, and welcome back to another Why You Should Watch video, this series where I spotlight some high quality shows and movies I think more people should see, and saving my friends the annoyance of rambling about fictional characters they don't care about. And as you can tell from the title of this one, I'll be diving into the classic HBO gangster epic, Boardwalk Empire, and yeah, I'm aware I'm late to the party since this show ended way back in 2014, and I'm not sure if it passes as a hidden gem considering its cast of big names, its grand critical acclaim, and numerous awards and nominations. Then again, that never stopped shows like Arrested Development or Firefly from getting no viewers. Though according to Vulture, it was considered a highly underappreciated show that often found itself muffled under the noisy hype of incredibly popular shows like Mad Men, Game of Thrones, and arguably the best show I've seen to date, Breaking Bad, don't at me. So whatever, I'm adding this to the list, because regardless of whatever mainstream reception it got, holy shit, was this show a trip. I'm literally not exaggerating when I say Boardwalk Empire was a masterpiece as both a thrilling crime drama and composite of compelling character studies played by a perfect cast of actors. Honestly, I couldn't have thought of better people to play out the charisma, the erratic instability, and the menacing nuances of both our leading gangster protagonists and antagonists, but I'll dive more into that in a bit. So first, let's break down the premise. Boardwalk Empire takes place in the 1920s Prohibition era, where we follow the exploits of corrupt politician Nucky Thompson, played by the fantastic Steve Buscemi, a criminal kingpin in control of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Beneath his front as a charming and often generous politician, spreading various acts of charity among the needy, including Irish immigrant and leading woman Margaret Schroeder, Nucky doubles his life as a scheming, violent gangster eager to make it on top of the vicious bootlegging business. Aiding him in his hustle are his younger brother and Atlantic County Sheriff Eli Thompson, portrayed by Shea Wiggum, who yet again plays a cop in his seemingly growing repertoire of cop roles, and his war veteran protege, Jimmy Darmody, played by Michael Pitt, aka Jenner Ben Chloe Moretz. Throughout the series, Nucky allies, deals with, or makes enemies out of a wide network of established mobsters, many of which are actually based on real-life criminals of the same era. These include the ever-iconic Al Capone, played by the incredibly underrated Stephen Graham, who brings about some of the most entertaining mob moments of the show, the cunning Arnold Rothstein, Italian gangsters Lucky Luciano and Johnny Torrio, and racketeer/unofficial leader of Atlantic City's African-American community, Chalky White. Of course, it ain't a complete crime drama without adding in a lawful do-gooder aiming to tear down all those profiting off this glamorized illegal trade. And here's where one of my personal favorites show up. The religious kook and overzealous prohibition agent Nelson Van Alden, played by one of my all-time favorite actors, Michael Shannon. This guy brings about some of the best darkly comedic moments of the show, and in my opinion, had one of the best written and most satisfying character arcs of the entire series. These characters and plenty more draw us into a gripping tale of political corruption and organized crime while exploring how far people would go to rise to power, the consequences of ego and greed, and even the struggles of racial discrimination at the time. So that's Boardwalk Empire in a nutshell. And for those who have finished the series, I'm aware I'm merely grazing the surface. There are so many more sub-themes and story branches and side characters that make up the heart and soul of the show, all of which play a critical element and add depth to the overall storyline and series lore. I sadly can't dive into all of them since this is just meant to be a brief review, even for my seemingly stretched definition of brief. But it might be all for the better since, for a lot of these story details, they have a far more hard-hitting impact when watching them unravel for yourselves. This show is no shy performer when carrying out unpredictable plot turns and jaw-dropping surprises. It does not pull any punches and either leaves you deep in thought, in utter shock, or pleasantly surprised by how well they handle a particular conflict or story arc. And this takes me to the writing of the show, and in case it ain't already obvious, I have little to no qualms. Like I said, it's hard to guess where the show will go next, and when they do choose to shock or surprise, it still makes coherent sense, and for the most part isn't really used as a cheap, oof, let's stir them online reviewers up type of gimmick. American Horror Story, I'm looking at you. If anything, these moments add to the overall meaningfulness of the story and development of characters, and is one of the biggest reasons why it solidified its place as one of HBO's best. Between the tense action scenes and dramatic twists and turns, it's a complete thrill ride that'll stick with you long after you're done with the show. I also like how it takes time to build on important little details that add complex layers to the story and characters, but never really feels boring in doing so. Some people call it a slow burn at times, and it can be, most especially in an incredibly character-driven fourth season, but boy will the payoffs make you shit your pants. I'm telling you, every season finale makes all the preceding episodes worth the journey. I'm a very emotional watcher, and the amount of times I've audibly screamed and yelled at the TV screen have been too many to count. It's also interesting to see the show explore both the intricacies of crime, the network, and the hierarchical nature of these gangs, while at the same time diving into the facets of life that make them human. Whether it's their love love and care for family, their desire for normality and acceptance, and their tragic and traumatic histories that turned them to a life of crime in the first place. It's this juxtaposition that once again transcends the show from your typical popcorn gangster tale. On this note, I have to applaud the show for incredibly compelling characters that truly drive the story. Boardwalk Empire provides us with excellently written dialogue that not only grips you as it carries you through important plot turns and events, but provides a deeper dive into the characters' psyches and motivations. This series' leading and sometimes even side characters are not without their many dimensions, which is what makes them so great. As I said before, you get to see both the glamorized badass gangster sides of them while also witnessing the insecurities, the inevitable failures, and the value they place on family and genuine personal connections that at times do well in making them appear more like relatable humans rather than cartoon mobsters. It effectively gets you more invested in their lives and stories, and I think creator Terence said it best when explaining how they wrote Capone into the story. That's the great luxury of doing a drama series that can run for dozens and dozens of hours. You have the opportunity of really delving deeply into the characters' lives. Usually in any movie it's Capone at the height of his power. Because of when the show started, I got to see Capone as a kid. You get to go home with Al Capone and see his family and his kid. It's a lot more than just this scar-faced guy chomping the cigar and beating people. God willing, we'll get to that too. I don't know who that Capone was before he was that guy, and that for me made it 100 times more interesting. Of course, we do have our side of deliciously evil villains that are hardly even given the slightest sense of redeemability, which, you know, when done well and given in small doses, will always make for entertaining TV. Being a masterclass in dramatic writing, Boardwalk excels in this with some Joffrey-level, blatantly bad people you can't wait to see get their demise. And like I said, this show's got its casting down to a T. Notable performances, of course, include Steve Buscemi, who artfully balances the two contrasting sides of Nucky's persona, the corrupt yet friendly, welcoming and charitable politician, and the also corrupt, menacing mob leader who gives absolutely no f***s. Kelly MacDonald beautifully portrays the strength, ambition, and repressed desire for criminality in leading woman Margaret Schroeder, and Shea Wiggum as Eli Thompson depicts his brooding insecurities and resentment towards Nucky with both moving subtlety and concerning instability. Stephen Graham literally disappears in his role as Al Capone, as he has with all other characters he's played, and like Michael Shannon's Van Alden, teeters between goofy comedic relief and being unstable, super threatening dudes you seriously don't want to mess with. But probably my favorite performance and character was Jack Huston's sympathetic, distraught, and incredibly human portrayal of the disfigured war veteran Richard Harrow, who only wants to lead a normal life of love and acceptance, yet finds himself entangled in the show's web of crime and haunted by his history of killings and cold-blooded violence. You get attached to all these characters pretty quickly and genuinely care for how their arcs end up on the show. I know I definitely did. I also gotta applaud the show for its nods to actual historical events, which for the sake of those unaware, I'm not gonna get too much into to keep this spoiler free, but if you're a history buff, you'll enjoy spotting these little Easter eggs. Finally, I want to comment on how the set for the show was beautifully done, and I mean you seriously feel immersed in the colorful, if not incredibly corrupt and violent world of the Roaring 20s. The Boardwalk Empire channel on YouTube's got quite a few videos that take you on a tour of their amazingly detailed set from the boardwalk to the actual establishments. They actually built this entire set you see right here, and being shot in Brooklyn, New York, they actually had to CGI the entire beach and ocean. Martin Scorsese, executive producer of the show and director of the pilot episode, was reportedly extremely meticulous with all the little details, making sure each environment had the exact visual impact he was after. Some of the most visually captivating sets were Babette's and the Ritz-Carlton, both of which were a fine celebration of the 1920s aesthetic and its architecture. So if you like crime stories of ruthless, cunning gangsters and how they strive to the top of the food chain, this show might just be up your alley. Otherwise, if you're simply looking for a suspenseful, thrilling drama with amazing character development, you'll love this show too. Honestly, I'd recommend it to anyone who's currently after some compelling TV. The series has 5 seasons under its belt, each with higher stakes than the last, and is currently available on HBO. It's a masterclass of a morality tale that you're bound to be left thinking about for years to come. Now, before I end this video, my only warning to new viewers of the show is to steer clear of looking up the show's characters as much as possible while in between seasons. Being a series of epic surprises, you'll never know what spoilers might lurk in the Google search results or even suggestions, and believe me, I found this out the hard way and I was kind of pissed, not gonna lie. So yeah, heed my words. Anyway, I hope I've convinced at least some of you to at least check out the show. If you like this video, go ahead and drop a like, and if you enjoy these sorts of TV/movie reviews or pop culture commentaries in general, be sure to subscribe for more of this sort of content, or check out one of the recommended videos that should pop up at the end of this one. If you've seen the show, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments and any similar series I could probably check out and get just as hooked on, and I'll see you guys in the next video.